So we're going to show you a little bit here on our new front wet clutch that we've been designing and working on. We have designed this all on SolidWorks and engineered it all out. We have our front yoke that's going to drive our front drive shaft from the transfer case. This is a Ford 9-inch. It is a 1350 U-joint on here. Same joint we're using on all these Pro 4 trucks. Our front support that will go on our intermediate case here is the Ford 9-inch Daytona front pinion set up on here. There are two pinion bearings in here. We will be able to adjust our end clearances with our standard Ford 9-inch shims on this. So this has made this very owner friendly, that they can actually repair this themselves and work on themselves. And most of these components are going to be available from your local speed shop and that, so you'll be able to purchase them. Our driven hub, this is a driven hub that we designed and we had manufactured. It fits the Daytona pinion, and we have our splines on here that's going to be driven by our clutches inside of our center support. So that is going to go into our clutches assembly and drive out to our front thing. This is our intermediate case that we designed and had this machined also. It's all done on CNC. And with this here, we have our Daytona pinion will fit on the front here and our drive out. In the back here, our clutch assembly is going to sit in here. We have a drain on this case, which is going to drain back into the transmission pan on the Turbo 400 transmission. All the bearings in here for our end play are a Thornton style bearing that fit in. So all of our end clearances will be held against the Thornton bearing, so we don't have any load or anything on the system. We are using a Turbo 400 direct clutch assembly on here that we have remachined and reworked this a little bit to do the job. But it is going to use the standard clutch components not in there. This first one that we are doing and we're going to test with, we are setting that up with the wafer style clutches that are common in the Turbo 400 transmissions in military use and racing applications. We are in the process of having clutches made for this. They're going to be made of a material that can actually slip. So these clutches will actually be able to slip in here without deteriorating anything. And we'll be able to allow this clutch to come on and not shock load the front diff and have problems or control the wheel spin as we are applying it, so we're not shock loading any of the front end on it. We have designed the center support, which will bolt to the SCS transfer case. A lot of guys are using the SCS transfer case on their automatics, and this will bolt right to it. This clutch system can be used in Ultra 4s or rock climbers or your weekend vehicles, or we're going to run this on our Pro 4th automatic transmission. That's what we designed it for. We have the center support. When we designed it so it's the same components as the Turbo 400. This hole here is going to go down and lubricate the bushing inside. This hole is going to apply the clutch. So our clutch will fit on this center support. Once again, it has a Thornton bearing in there, so there's no frictional losses within it. When we put our ply oil in the hole, it's going to apply this clutch. We are going to be working with the transmission pressure, the line pressure from the Turbo 400 transmission in our Pro 4. And we are going to, anytime the engine is started and running, then we are going to be putting oil pressure in this hole. And when we put that oil pressure in this hole, this clutch is going to apply and it's going to drive the output on the transmission. We are going to be able to set this, because it has a solenoid that's electrically controlled, that if we energize the solenoid, it's going to dump this oil off, drain it back to the transfer case or the transmission, and this clutch will release. We can set that in a couple ways. We're going to have a switch on our throttle pedal, which at a predetermined position, the front drive will not operate. So coming into a corner and we get out of the throttle, it's going to disengage the front drive, and as we get back on the throttle, it's going to re-engage it to control the truck in the corners. And we'll also be able to manually override it with a switch on the shifter, so he can push the switch or flip the switch, and it's going to disengage this clutch when he wants it to disengage, and he releases the switch and it will re-engage this clutch with our hydraulic pressure. We will be able to orifice the oil in here and control the speed that this clutch applies, so we can control its application and take that shock load out of the front end that destroys the front diffs in these Pro 4 trucks quite often, and we're going to try and alleviate that problem and also have the truck more drivable and tunable than using the Sprague style clutches that's been used over the years. And this will fit on any of the Turbo 400 transmissions. So this is what we're going to be trying on our Pro 4. We hope to do some testing yet this fall. I'm ready to go together now. The final machine work is all done. The final clearances have all been set up for this first unit. This is the very first unit we built, and it will be going in the truck shortly here so we can do some testing on it.